Thank you for joining me here at Major News Network on Roku, American News Network on Facebook, and other streaming services. Well, the effects of global warming are hitting us really hard because of all the petroleum products we are using, as you can tell. I'm glad everybody was sitting out there on the roads to defend us because it's been so hot. In fact, it's negative 50 in Montana, fluctuating around negative 25 in South Dakota. Couldn't get any more cold than that. Again, I was talking about the impending ice age, but those are just some things that we're going to talk about. Now, looks like we're going to slide into a world war, so as long as we are, I'm going to talk about what we're going to be looking at. And the country that I'm going to talk about for a lot of my newcomers is going to be Russia, and in particular their Navy and what their strongest force is in their Navy, in my opinion. So they have the gigantic submarine called the Belgorod, and they let this big thing out. Putin did. And he says, I'm going to implement 15 Poseidons in the northern hemisphere and 15 Poseidons in the southern hemisphere. Now, what is a Poseidon? Poseidon is this thing that you're seeing behind me. It's 80 feet long. It's a nuclear-guided, nuclear-powered torpedo. Now, Russia has put this on the base of a lot of our oceans around the world. Okay, so the Belgorod is the world's longest submarine, and it entered Putin's Navy quite a while ago, as you can see. This is something that we just, it's extremely scary. And it's laying out these Poseidon bombs. Now, what is the Poseidon bomb? I'm going to get into that, and it is basically the strongest force. Remember, our submarine, our Tridents, are our strongest force, and their strongest force is what you're seeing, this 80-foot long Poseidon torpedo that can travel at a speed of 125 miles an hour when activated. Originally, this was a 100 megaton bomb. Now it's a 200 megaton bomb. The 100 megaton package might be used per se in Great Britain or in New York, but I doubt it. I mean, this is the bomb, by the way, that can destroy the state of Texas, the state of California, France, Great Britain, and they actively threatened Great Britain with this on TV. I'm going to show that to you right now. So this was on Russian media television, and this is when they were basically threatening straight on out what they could do. Okay? So he was basically saying to Great Britain that we could hit you with the SARMAT, and that's what he's showing here. And the SARMAT 2 is basically, their ICBM that can come down and basically annihilate France or Great Britain. So this is their threat. This was the threat if we got involved in the Ukraine, and we did. So I'm bringing it up because Biden wants us to go to World War III. That is his main objective here. So the Saturn 21 is the thing. And listen to this guy talk.
Зачем заигрываться? Другой вариант – погрузить Британию в морскую пучину российский подводный робот-беспилотник «Посейдон». Он приближается к цели на километровой глубине со скоростью 200 километров в час. Нет никакого способа.
All right, so there's no way to stop this underwater torpedo. It's nuclear guided, carries 100 megatons, just so you know that's 4 times larger than the SAR bomb. The explosion of this thermonuclear torpedo close to Britain's shores will raise a giant wave, extremely high doses of radiation, and it's a cobalt wave. Surging over Britain, it will turn what is probably left of them into a radioactive desert. Now, this is permanently unusable for anything. How do you like this prospect? And Putin warned about this back in February 24 if anyone interfered in the Ukraine. So I'm bringing this up because we interfered, and this was played on Russian TV. So I'm going to go into great detail exactly on as to what that is. What you're seeing behind me is the SARMAT. What you're talking about, it is a planet killer. Okay? So, and it is Putin's Armageddon weapon. It is mobile. They can move this out on as you can see, by semi-truck, deploy it by train, get it all over the country, and it is all over the country. It can hit us from the north and southern hemispheres. That is his major missile on the surface. But again, that's not what I'm wanting to talk to you about. I'm wanting to talk to you about the thing that he has that we do not have. It's a planet killer. And I'm going to suggest that I believe he's going to use it on the state of California. Why is that, Chris? The reason is because if he hits Seattle, Los Angeles, and San Diego, where our Navy is, the radioactive cloud and decay from our jet stream will then waft it over our entire country, at which point we'll have to surrender. But I'm not kidding you. This is something that we're facing. Now, I showed you the submarine. We're going to get into some details as far as what this is. Just so you know the size of this nuclear package. Again, the SAR bomb, when it was at, and it's 1/4 the size of this bomb. The shockwave of this bomb went around the world 4 times. Okay, so being nuclear guided, what he's been doing systematically, and I'm talking about Putin, Vladdy P, is he's been placing this torpedo that I just showed you in these packages all throughout the depths of the oceans. And since they're unmanned and nuclear, they can go much deeper than what we have now. The tidal wave, just so you know the size of this tidal wave, it's 1,500 feet, okay? So 500 meters. It's larger than every building in Manhattan, and it's loaded full of cobalt. It's a nuclear substance. Now, it's basically, you can already anticipate that it's off in, September 2015, but it was commissioned just this year. He's been laying these all over with this Belgorod, and we've seen it, and we've been tracking it. So again, Poseidon's out there, and they're basically in suitcases, okay? So Poseidon goes and lays these suitcases on the floors of the ocean, just like you see. And then when the time is to activate it, since it's nuclear powered, it comes up and it goes at a very slow speed. So slow and so deep we can't detect it. But when it turns on and he wants to, he can get this thing hustling. And this is the world's most powerful nuclear weapon, 200 megatons. He upped the power of this. If you can say if anything about Putin, he lies about underperforming. So this thing then can race and scramble to the shores at 125 miles per hour. Or then, okay, and this is, like I said, the most powerful nuclear device ever created. And then it goes off with 200 megatons. Now, as it goes off with cobalt nuclear radiation, and that radiation annihilates us later on. So this is the SAR bomb. This was the largest bomb ever. And everything got vaporized within a 55-kilometer radius, 100 kilometers away. They detonated it up here in Nova Zembla. Everybody's windows even exploded in Norway and Finland in the northern parts. It was so powerful. And the shockwave on this one went around the world 3 times. Now, the reason why we're giving you that math is it's 50 megatons. And this new bomb is 4 times more powerful than the SAR bomb, which was the largest bomb ever done. Okay, so we're up against forces, and he has the upper hand. You should know about this. The Chinese are really getting into space. So is Russia. This is bigger than the Empire State Building. It's hitting the top of the Freedom Tower. That was the 100 megaton one. They actually did a study with this and released it. They released New York as their area of attack on the study in Russian. But again, I think that's a cloak and dagger smokescreen. I think if they're going to tell us they're hitting us in New York, it's because really they're going to try to hit us in Los Angeles, in Seattle, and especially in San Diego. So this cobalt wave then comes in. And as it comes in, and just so you know, the tsunami actually that killed everybody was minuscule compared to this. And there is no line of defense that we have that can basically go against a 1,500, 2,000 foot tall tidal wave that is radioactive. So that's the thing. It's the exact opposite of an EMP, where they blow up a nuke in space. Here, they're blowing up a high-powered nuke with cobalt radiation materials in it. And again, this is the study that they did, and you can see it's in Russia. And this is them coming into Long Island with 100 megaton. Now, he kept it quiet, but the Russian media let it out now, and we know it's 200 megatons. So what would the smaller ordinance be for? Well, maybe the United Kingdom, maybe for New York, but that 200 megaton ordinance. Now, look at the size of these buildings, and that's the Freedom Tower. It's everything else. Okay, everything gets demolished, and then it's radioactive. So even if you get some of this water on you, no matter what, we die. It's a war weapon. And again, he built 30 of these, and he put 15 in the northern hemisphere, 15 in the southern hemisphere. So the Arctic Ocean's got some, and then Vladivostok, and basically he has been laying them out all year long. So he has the nuclear missiles and all these Poseidon missiles already laid out. The Chinese have FOBs in the sky, and that's fractional orbital bombardment system already in the sky. They've been attacking our satellites. That's why we're using dirty bombs and all the dirty bomb munitions we gave to Israel. So we are really already in this. And again, I challenge anybody with a good idea on how to stop this now that you know that they are already out there. And that is the Poseidon. Okay. So does China have a Poseidon? Unfortunately, they do. And the dangerous part about China's Poseidon is that they call it a temporary nuclear-powered device. Well, I'm going to tell you, as soon as it's Chinese-made, meaning it's CRAP, and then it's going to start deteriorating in the ocean, and we're going to have miniature Fukushimas attached to nukes all over the ocean. So China let out basically what their design looks like. And it was inspired by what I just showed you, but it's smaller, okay? And they've conceptualized, they put this together, but like I said, the difference is theirs has a temporary nuclear fuel device on it. And again, that scares me to death because, as you know, and they say they did that because they're saving money on costs. Okay, so they have a low-cost nuclear reactor that could power a torpedo over 10,000 kilometers. And the nuclear-powered torpedoes can travel largely undetected in a swarm across the Pacific Ocean and strike targets on the U.S. West Coast, just like I said. So China and Russia have a submarine tactical program against the United States, and I wanted you to know that because they're only anticipating on using that on you and me here at home in the United States of America. Again, China and Russia have torpedoes that they've developed specifically for the states of California and Oregon. But then again, China Joe just said today that he prefers China over Taiwan. And there again, Gavin Newsom and Nancy Pelosi, they were our handout to Taiwan. And by doing that, we've turned our back on our actual allies, being Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, the Philippines, and Vietnam. We need to strengthen what we've taken, and we need to solidify our allies. We can't go creating friends with people that are botting out, people that are compromised. Do we have a compromised administration? Yes. In fact, what if I was to tell you that during the COVID start, that we were cyber attacked, and they've kept this quiet from all of us? It's a major story that should break out, but the NIH, the National Institute of Health, which handles over $1 trillion of our funds, was cyber attacked. And they kept that quiet from us. Many of us don't know it, but that government agency briefly vanished off the internet. The United States Department of Health and Human Services experienced what appeared to be an unprecedented electronic attack just as COVID-19 began wreaking havoc worldwide. Now the department's former chief information officer is stepping forward to reveal previously unknown details about the size, scope, and aim of what he called a nation-state level assault. Now, I'm going to tell you, this wasn't just on that side. We were also assaulted by the lies of our government. But imagine keeping that intel secret from us, wondering if it was Russia, wondering if it was China. I'm going to suggest it was working both of them in tandem. Why? I just showed you how they've both developed nuclear submarines to specifically hit just one country, and that is us. When can you pull the lead out? When can you see that we're compromised? I don't know why there hasn't been one other senator that stepped up to the plate with Senator Chuck Grassley to impeach Jackwagon Joe, but it's ridiculous. By the way, President Trump is winning a lot of these response civil cases with Alina Habba, and I will say that they're keeping that quiet. But Fani Willis is guilty of conspiring with their prosecutor, who wasn't even qualified, to attack our president. It violates the 24th Amendment, but it's a conspiracy to overthrow the government. It's a 20 to 25-year prison sentence. I suggest any district attorney in the state of anywhere get on that and start cracking it before the Democrats do, and start draining the time clock so that she can win on time, which is one of the strategies for Hunter Biden. Okay, so remember, the Russian television threatened Great Britain and the East Coast. I think the real culprit is going to be the West Coast. Our government's already had a major thing hacked, and I'm talking about the NIH, and they kept it quiet from us. What else would they keep quiet from us? Well, you tell me. Now, the world is preparing for a different kind of future. Taiwan is preparing for war because they know the truth that is facing them. And in their election, they've elected a new president, and he is very anti-China. And as far as any of you that think that Taiwan was a part of China, it never has been. In fact, it was more Japan's before World War II than it ever was China's. That's true. But it's always been a free country, this beautiful island of Formosa. I've been all over the place, even to Marble Mountain. And it's a beautiful place to be. But they are independent, and they've elected a new leader. And this new leader, they think that he might be a troublemaker. He's a former physician. William Lai has won Taiwan's presidential election. And so he knows about the deceptions as far as what they're doing. I watched this big special on Japan today, how they recognized that there were two distinct types of poisons that were introduced through the hokey pokey that was injected into a lot of people that had to take it. The evidence is out. I told you also, Dr. John Campbell exposed a new type of variant that China's been working on in humanized mice that has a brain variant with a 100% kill ratio. We need to stop travel from all places, that have nuclear submarines guided at the United States of America, i.e., all the places that are unified. If we're going to have, and it's not that the places are bad, it's that we're being run by such a criminal, and we need to clean house. He's exposing all of us to total destruction. He's trying to pick fights with Russia, with China, with Iran. And as we look around the room in America, we notice that he's picking fights with every country that we're from. And you know the reason is because he's so old. He knows that he's living his final days, and I think he wants a lot of us to live those final days with him. So China's got a new thing to go against, and good. My heart, my prayers are for the people of Taiwan so that they can stay safe until we have Orange Man Good with watermelon balls back into office to back you and make you feel safe at night. So in America, I just want you to know don't drive if you don't have to. We're completely frozen over, and the border's about to change. So if you're down there at the border right now, it's starting to get cold. That cold front's coming in. Believe it or not, it's let's see, what is it? 11 degrees in Dallas, Texas, and it's pushing on down into Austin. That freeze barrier is also hitting San Antonio, but from San Antonio to Uvalde, that's where that freeze line is, but it should be hitting them right in the middle of the night. Now, this is ultra dangerous. In other words, I'm telling all you foreigners down there, you should just turn around and go home. And the good part is the National Guard is now being used to make sure that you do go home. That's true. So Texas has now had its border back going on to 3 days, and people are celebrating somewhat because of that. But, I've got to let you know, this is the status and how our country looks while we're going uphill. And it's just, it's something you can be proud of. And I'm telling you, it really is. It's just something we can all be proud of. And I thought this next piece here was pretty good, and so I'm going to play it. But it was basically how we're running the White House, and I thought that was just super funny. So here you go. Listen to this.
Senior living. Our residents feel right at home. Our vibrant facility offers delightful activities and outings, round-the-clock professional care, and exquisite house-made meals.
Well, I've been eating everything that's put in front of me. I've been eating all Italian food, basically.
And ice cream.
And ice cream, chocolate chip ice cream.
White House Senior Living, where residents feel like presidents.
Government, what is going on in Gaza after 3 months of war has surpassed the destruction that took place in Dresden during World War II. And I think when any person in America who knows anything about history or anybody around the world thinks about the city of Dresden, what comes to mind is the horrific bombardments that took place by U.S. and British Air Force and the destruction in the city. Madam President, those attacks during World War II took place over 2 years. The destruction in Gaza after 3 months in terms of housing is worse than what took place in Dresden over 2 years. And now, Madam President, let me say a word about another horrific reality that is taking place in Gaza. So above and beyond the death and destruction caused by bombs and the Israeli military campaign, what we are now looking at is the reality that Israel has made it extremely difficult from the very start of this war for food, water, medical supplies, fuel to get into Gaza. This is no great secret. I think everybody knows it. And the result of that
we have President Trump delivering pizza to the firefighters out on location in the freezing cold. That's because he cares about you and I. Here's some watermelon balls in action, America. We all know who our president is. Now, what happened here recently? Got a war report and an update. We just used some new technology last night. I figured if Great Britain and Sky News are going to talk about it, so will I. Technology coming out of Fort Worth, Texas, hasn't been used before. This would be the F-24. Now, this baby's so bad you can't see it. It looks smaller than a bird heading your way, so it's basically invisible. And we did use the new U.S. F-24 fighter jet, and it was secretly tested on Yemen. We had over 100 places to get, but yet they got 61 and blew them to kingdom come. With 1 million people from Yemen here in the United States, President Joe Biden just activated the Trojan horse from within the United States of America. Why do I say that, Chris? Well, what would you do if the country you just moved to just blew up your mom, dad, your brother? How would you respond? Now, something I was talking about with some of my Armenian friends that came in to visit me from California, they said, Chris, all of the veterans have been kicked out on the street, and all of the drug addicts and the homeless people have. And they're putting all the new illegal aliens in garages and schools. So he was like trying to find places for people to live. And this country is basically, we don't even, I want you to understand something here. And this is something that just pisses me off. So they're giving these illegal aliens 2 free years of room and board in a house, in somebody's room, in somebody's garage, fully paid for. Geez, that'd be a nice idea if they did that for our veterans, wouldn't it? But you're going to do that for a privatized, hidden militia? This, to me, helps conceal a dirty plan to take us down from within. They're already taking our schools over. They are taking over our houses over through this incentive. I'm being approached to build buildings for our homeless, for our veterans, because they don't have homes anymore because they've been given to illegal aliens. Our kids don't have schools. Parents have to ask themselves the question, do you want your kid to go to a school with a third world person with kids that might have mumps and tuberculosis? They're only going to force you to get tested, not an illegal alien. They're only going to do a sobriety test on you being a citizen, not an illegal alien. They're only going to require insurance from you, not an illegal alien. Cops are really only going to regulate you, not an illegal alien. Protecting and serving. I'd like it if they could protect me from them. Do I stand alone in this? I'm guessing in my heart now that the police force should not be used against the citizens, but against perhaps the 10 to 30 million illegal aliens that are living in our country, which is the new war we're going to fight. Mark my words. So, this global warming catastrophe has gone across the United States, and I want all of those liberals to know that. That's right. It's 8 degrees in the state of Oklahoma. Down in Dallas, Texas, right now it's 15 degrees in Fort Worth and Dallas. And that cold front's, it's hit all the way down to Austin, Texas, 20 degrees in Austin, Texas. No kidding, and 27 in San Antonio. But how is it hitting the border? Nuevo Laredo is still 40 degrees. In Matamoros, it's usually warm down there, 65, so it's still comfortable there. The area of concern, which I'm glad we took it on, it just hit in the 30s, and that's Eagle Pass at 39, but it could turn freezing, and there's just too many illegals there. Our government is overwhelmed. We got about a 320-acre camp there. We got a way that we can take care of all of them immediately, but just not you and I. If I were the devil, Paul Harvey would say, I would let all the people in and all the drugs in, where they're dog sniffing at every school and metal detectors, and foreigners with every disease. Yeah. We are at the point right now where we are not even respecting the Constitution. We're letting state district attorneys, state judges act like they have congressional powers, which they don't. Fannie Willis talking today at a black Christian church, talking about Jesus, and I thought, you know what? Well, this makes me kind of happy. I think she'd probably be a good prison preacher for at least the next 5 to 25 years. That's where she belongs. But see, there's a big thing that I'm going to talk about here, and it's called the reverse discrimination of white people. You see, if you're white today, it's a crime. You can get fired just by talking to someone wrong, just by identifying them wrong. Now, Claudine Gay at Harvard noticed that she was not really an author, but plagiarized, and she was called out even by her associates, even her associates of color, but she's now taking time off, still on the clock, and still getting paid over $900,000 a year, and she's a phony. I could say the same thing about this lady behind me, and if we keep up with this stuff, we will divide America. Because you got to remember that Martin Luther King, whose day is coming up here just tomorrow, said that we need to look at the content of the character and not the color of your skin. The content of this character behind me is a slight out criminal. The prosecutor she got was her boyfriend. We got the receipts of her going to Napa Valley, her paying other men for sex. Oh yeah, she's desperate. She's perfect for prison. And that's exactly where she needs to go. Same thing as far as the Robert Smith and as far as the Alvin Bragg and everybody that's gone after President Trump is an enemy of the state, and we damn well know it. Fox News just kicked off Mike Lindell of My Pillow, and not only did they kick him off, they won't even let him pay to be on because they are that afraid of the truth. I went out with Mike up to Missouri at the Moment of Truth Summit, talked to many colonels at the Department of Defense where we found those little SD cards embedded on motherboards. You can see that's how from 11 till 5 a.m. we got an extra 22 million votes for Jackwagon Joe. I'll remind you that the Constitution says that we have an election day, and everything from 12 to 5 in the morning should not count because it was on the following day. Now, as we slide in here minutes onto Martin Luther King Day, I want all you people to know that you got to get up in the cold because today's the day you got to get out there and cast your vote for President Donald Trump. We got to let him know that we're there. We got to let him know that we're there for him. So drop your cocks and grab your socks and wake up. It's time to get up, and it's time to be careful. I'm hoping that you have places that are nearby because the roads are as treacherous as they can be. Now, if you're in a Democrat area, you know that you're going to basically have to travel over areas that they're not going to want. I'm going to talk about something else that just happened. It's a space age war that just happened with Arrow 3 as the rooster crows. Not once, but twice, but 3 times. So this is something brand new that happened. And the Houthis from Yemen right over here, they launched a missile. But this missile actually went so high, it actually went into space. And so this brought this new entire war onto a different level that we've never seen before. And so the Arrow 3 responded. And now we know that the United States with Israel, we have something that can go up finally and shoot a satellite out of the sky good because the Russia proved it with this Kandar. So right here, Arrow 3 goes up, and as the Yemens are firing on Jerusalem, this missile was knocked out of the sky. So there we go. It was successful, and that's because Iran unveiled a new missile, and it concerns. And it was a very tense thing, but we're letting it out of the bag now. This was a night in November 2023. The missile launched from Yemen, flying further and higher than any before in an act of aggression, and they were going to bomb the city of Eilat. And Israel's response was this Arrow 3, a hypersonic anti-ballistic missile that made history by intercepting the enemy projectile, but it was outside of the Earth's atmosphere. So that's the neat thing. But this is just the tip of the iceberg, because we have now a different type of war that's going on. We got projectiles coming from outer space. And don't forget, this is crucial because China has the Fractional Orbital Bombardment System, FOBS, and it's already circling in the sky. So there you go. And that's kind of a lot of things that we're looking at. It has been 100 days of war. And they are brainwashing us to try to get behind this war. And I'm going to tell you, don't do it. Don't do it at all, because it's just been put together by the architect of destruction. Here, I'll let him talk for a bit. He knows a lot about it.
Say that again? We will make sure that we respond to the Houthis as they continue this outrageous behavior, along with our allies.
Do you have this from Secretary Austin?
I do.
I'm sorry. Was it a lapse in judgment for him not to tell you earlier?
Yes.
Are we in the facto proxy war later on?
Say again?
Are we in the facto proxy war?
No.
Hey, how much you buy us all a coffee, Joe? You want to buy us all a coffee? Come on, you're good for it, aren't you? Why don't you spend some of our money, Jackwagon? Come on.
What is strike successful?
Now answer my question. I'm cooler. Come on.
I don't think there's any civilian casualties.
Come on,
That's another reason why it's a success. So look, we're going to get a chance to talk apparently after the fire station. So rather than, by the way, anybody want a coffee? It's on me. All right? You take a smoothie? Well, they're $6, but I'll do it anyway.
There you go.
Seriously, if anybody here...
Hey, why not?
wants it,
I
I'll
told
pay
you.
for it.
He's good for it.
very generous.
Thanks, Joe.
Secondly, we're in a situation where we have put together, and you guys did it for our the President Obama's administration before this. We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
What you know now, do you wish like you had a third term? And I used to say, you know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats, looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony. I'd be fine with that.
Have you had enough of the malarkey? I've had enough. Thank you for joining me here at Major News Network, American News Network, where we're streaming on Roku free. Just type in Major News Network and you'll see me. And these are truth bombs that our country can't stand on a lot of regulated platforms, but do we care? Well, not about any of it. We care about God and country. Amen. And I'll see you soon. God bless all of you.